Welcome to the Total Connector Show. It's all about total Bitcoin, total decentralization, total freedom. It's all about total Bitcoin. So, not sure whether you can see me or not, but I guess not. Now you can see me. All right. Yeah. All right. There you are. Okay. Switched over to my picture. Now, all right. What I want to talk about is the. I had a talk with a great interview with a bunch of Bitcoiners and Bitcoin maximalists on the Honey Badger Bitcoin conference in Riga. Amongst one of them was Giacomo Zucco, who I'm going to have a one-to-one interview in the very near future, very soon, already scheduled, upcoming, and can't wait to have that interview. And yeah, I'm going to have another interview with Stephen Livera. So really excited. Let me see with whom else to have an interview. I schedule so many interviews now. By the way, on 25th September, I'm going to have with Mayank Chabra about user friendliness, easy user-friendly applications, mass adoption, scaling, a lot of other wallets, a lot of other topics. Then I will have a live interview, which I'm gonna record with my professional camera equipment with Johannes from Bitcoin Austria here, right in Vienna, in Austria, and yeah, and on 3rd of October. Oh no! Before that, I'm gonna have an interview with Nopara, about Wasabi, coin joining, many other, all these issues, which got to be more opened up to the newbies. And Stephen Livera is on Tuesday, 1st of October, and the 3rd of October, Giacomo Zucco. And yeah, and then with Michel Rauchs, a great guy from the Valley Bitcoin Conference, one of the speakers, analyst, wonderful, brilliant mind on October 14th. All right. So what's on my mind today? Because I heard I just had a peek into one of the latest videos of Bitcoin Master. He was talking about biometric applications, or biometric wallets, or something like that. So now, because of the talk I had with Giacomo Zucco in Riga, which you should definitely check out. That was the video before this one, which I posted, everywhere on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, on just watch it on YouTube. And he, and my main concern is that how do we, first of all, onboard, how do we educate, how do we empower more and more people, the average user, the newbies, the older people who are totally overwhelmed by, by this mass of technical jargon, and required, let's say, sort of expertise, all right, when it comes to even using a hardware wallet. I know that from experience, because I help a lot of other people, whether they're 40 years old or 60, 65 years old. People are overwhelmed, right? I mean, just telling them to generate every time a new address, or just getting into the hardware wallet, is really a huge deal and that's why I empathize, with so many other people out there, because my main goal, my laser focus vision is a critical number of newbies onboarding, all right, educated, empowered, comfortable in using a hardware wallet. And we're not even talking about, getting your full node, because I don't even have that. And I would have, it really needs a lot of time, patience, nerves, in a way, intellectual experience to know what you're doing. especially when it comes to downloading software where you have to follow step-by-step instructions. It's not that hard, but really it is, and a lot of Bitcoiners and developers, programmers, or whatever people, Bitcoin maximalists, they do admit a lot of things out there. It's still not, for the average person out there. It's for the intermediate advanced user. So this is my laser-focused mission, vision, ethos, and intention is to really onboard as many newbies as possible. Now, the title of this video is something like, I wrote something like user-friendly biometric application software wallets for the average user and or older people, especially older people who have no clue. They might know, by now. This is how it should be. You open your laptop, you open your computer, you go into the browser, you enter your whatever the name of the website, you go into your whatever email account, email applications, you write an email, you put in the email address. It's easy, cheesy, user-friendly, intuitive, automatic by default. You just do it, and that's what buying satoshis, buying a handful of satoshis, which is the lowest denomination of one satoshi. Again, for the very, very newbies, one Bitcoin equals 100 million satoshis. So if people want to buy, you don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin. Again, this is very important to emphasize and to repeat, to iterate every time again. You do not need to own or to buy a whole one Bitcoin. It's sufficient, if you just go in with 10 euros, $10, 100 euros, or whatever, just go on a serious exchange. I would definitely advise Kraken, because I know from experience they are really ethical, correct. They're top notch when it comes to security. They take care of your of your security, of your, in a way, of your well-being, of your financial well-being. And they do only require a very minimum amount of fees, percentage-wise. It's like 0 point whatever, something, very low. So you could check it out on kraken.com, get yourself an account, and start accumulating, start as they say, dollar cost dollar averaging, which I still don't know what it really means, because I always thought that it means within a certain time period when the price of Bitcoin on average within a specific time frame, whether it's a week, a month, goes to lowest. But that's not what it means. It just means you somehow you set it up. You set up your dollar cost dollar averaging purchase, and every week on a specific day or every month, it automatically buys for you a specific amount of satoshis or whatever, or a fraction of a Bitcoin or whatever, Bitcoin or what have you. So my main concern is my really laser focused intention and wish is that. And it's not about believing. I know it's possible. I know things have to mature from a developmental perspective, from UX, user experience, user interface expertise in connection with programmers, developers, entrepreneurs, maybe even, and people who know what they're doing. So what we really need would be, because what's the bigger picture here? People should be empowered and educated to be their own self-sovereign central bank. Totally self-empowered, self-controlled, self-possessed, self-sovereign, user, hodler of last resort, as we would say. Become a Bitcoin hodler, and you should be in total full control of your own keys, of your own private keys. And you should not delegate it in whatsoever. Because I remember a talk or interview with Dan Held, brilliant mind, and he said he wouldn't be so sure, whether he would entrust private keys, to his grandma or to whatever, or to his grandparents or something like that. And I fully empathize with that statement, because what does it mean? Because there's a bunch of old people out there. I'm talking about like old people. I'm not like talking like people who are just got into retirement. I'm talking about like whatever, 65, 70-year-old, or let's just say 70, 80-year-old people who still, why should they be denied the privilege and the right, the legal, the human right, the logical, ethical right to self-sovereignly, be in total control of their private keys, of their funds, and do as they wish, as long as, whatever, they're not, if it's their money, it's their money, it's their property, right? It's the property rights, and it's it's the ethical, logical, human right to have total control over their funds, their keys, and do whatever they wish to do. So this is where this idea about a really holistic biometric hardware wallet application, software, whatever is the easiest, most intuitive, easy cheesy, applicable thing could be. All right. And I'm thinking, we already have this smartphone, right? So, I use my fingerprints, right? A lot of people use Face ID, fingerprints. So if we can, come up, if the developers, the technologists, the scientists, whatever, the UX, UI designers, they have a very special role in this development, in my opinion. I had this wonderful interview with one of the US UI designers. You check it out on my YouTube channel. By the way, if you like this video, please like it, share, subscribe, pass it on to your friends, to your families, and brainstorm with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's your feedback, because the way I see it and the near future to come, I'm going to see it this way. So we're going to get, we're going to really simplify all these processes, with private keys, private key, but the access to your private key of your hardware wallet, and eventually to your full node, the accessibility, the opening up of accounts, the transactional process of sending, and especially and sending and receiving, and all these transactions, the authorization of certain specific, transactions should be really simplified. But, as Giacomo Zucco said in the last interview I did, personal interview, he said there's, at least as the way I understood it in this phase that we are in, there's this sort of trade-off between security, privacy, and user-friendliness, or easy user-friendly, applications. All right. And so I get that, right? But I know that there's a way to that. So if we have if there's more, a total cooperation, communication, and interlocking and intertwined communication process and communication cooperation process between business developers, coders, whatever, programmers, UX, UI designers, entrepreneurs who know how to market it in a very, transparent, ethical, logical way. The way I see it is that you have a device, let's just say for the start, all right? This is about hodling, all right? Holding on for dear life, whatever it means, all right? So if we get more people on board, we educate them, and they finally get it, what Bitcoin is about, the monetary, economical properties, the essence of Bitcoin. What does it mean? Scarce is hardest money, store of value, and then comes meat of exchange, unit of account, the macroeconomical perspective. Why the question, why Bitcoin? This is the fundamental thing that people need to, because if the pain point is not there yet, the existential, financial, monetary, economical pain point, like in Venezuela, Turkey, Iran, Argentina, where in countries where there's restriction, censorship, inflation, hyperinflation, all these things. So we in the Western, modern, whatever, developed, industrialized world, we don't feel it, right? You just ask anybody, right? People don't, they really don't care, all right? Why should they? Because, yes, we have more or less sort of a stable, non-volatile currency which people can pay their proverbial coffee with, right? But this is not what it's about. This is a much, much, much unimaginable bigger picture behind this. We talk about a totally new derouting of this, criminal, centralized Keynesianism, anti-saving, zero, low interest, zero interest, negative interest rate policy, credit expansion, debt bubble growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and so. The bigger picture, the question of why Bitcoin comes, to all these root questions, monetary, economical, macroeconomical. It's about, and then all these facets that Bitcoin, is intertwined with. All right, game theory, Austrian economics, monetary economical principles. Cryptography. Everything, psychology, biology, even mushroom play a part in that. I'm gonna, hopefully have an interview with Brian Quittem, who wrote, beautiful articles on that, mycelium and the network effects and the mushroom, distribution. So understanding this from a really holistic, bigger viewpoint perspective is really not hard. Going into the rabbit hole, that's the first step. All right, in any kind of rabbit hole, because there's so many rabbit holes. So once you really deep in there, and then you go out, you zoom in, and then finally, it matures. The knowledge, the comprehension level matures and matures. I've been in this space, let's just say in the in the Bitcoin space for about approximately 2 or 3 years now, or let's say in the crypto space. All right, but so finding your path from all this shitcoinery and blockchain space and all these buzzwords and hyper stuff, it's really not easy for the average person, especially considering the fact that it's so much bullshit, so much mainstream propaganda, so much lies, so much fabrication of stories, so much people are just overwhelmed. All right, they got to dig through all these, filter out all this nonsense and noise, and then come to the core, to the principles of of why Bitcoin. Right. So again, coming back to the topic of my video, what I see, whatever it is, software application, any kind of application, hardware device, and eventually everybody, this is the ultimate goal, that each and every person should have a full node, right? Because you are then a fully, totally self-sovereign Bitcoin hodler, and you do not rely even on any kind of, server or provider or whatever, or any kind of single point of failure. You are your own validator of any transaction, and that happens automatically once you have. Because this is what I'm thinking, is that if we can make, for example, this Trezor-hardware device, which you can allegedly just plug and play, which I will eventually test it. And you can just plug and play it, and then you have your hardware wallet, you have your full node. And but for the older generations, for the older people, I see an even more simplified process, especially when it comes to sending, receiving, accessing your funds, accessing your Bitcoin, and really being so much empowered, so much self-responsible and self-sovereign that you can really easily access your funds, send transactions, authorize it, and you know exactly what you're doing. So this is where the biometric development or applications, or I don't know how to call it, technology comes in. Now we already have fingerprint, we already have face ID. Now if we can improve that more and more, maybe yes, with a combination of a specific PIN code which has a security level which still people either have to really secure it for themselves, or they just know it, or write it down, but really keep it simplified, right? When it comes to authorizing and validating and accessing your funds, securing your funds, and authorizing a transactions. So it would be good if it was like an iris scan plus a fingerprint plus a face ID. And maybe, yeah, and who knows? I mean, it's like the pace of technological development is so exponential right now. It's unbelievable. And then you can just couple it, combine it with a voice recognition, and then maybe even, who knows? I mean, some kind of biohormonal, something like a hormone odor, because there's all kinds of shit out there. I mean, it's unbelievable, the technology, especially in the military-industrial complex. If they could just release at least part of the technology that's been developed in DARPA or any kind of military-industrial corporate, non-acknowledged projects, this is what we're talking about, right? So and we don't want to go into doomsday apocalyptic or always worst case scenario, because what if you get attacked and wrench, $5 wrench attack, personal attacks, and then they try to extort you, blackmail you, what have you, and threaten you. No, I'm not talking about that. I mean, this is like this can happen to anybody everywhere, but it's not about risk elimination. I don't think there is such thing as total super 100% risk elimination in life, in our existence, in our lives, in our interaction. It's about as much as possible risk minimization. You minimize the risk as much as possible. But and it's about, of course, it's about a trade-off, but you want to grant, you want to empower people, you want to educate people, you want to really enable people to hold their own funds, whatever the age, whatever the intellectual, mental capacity is. It doesn't matter. People, if they're older people and they're just insecure and they don't know, and there's a higher risk of losing, because of all these procedures, all these complicated, highly technical jargon processes in between. We want to minimize the risks and at the same time, increase the convenience in a way that they can, for themselves, individually, self-responsibly take care of their own funds, of their own finances, of their own transactions, of their own lives, of their own decisions. So this is that's the whole point, all right, of my video, is that if there are any developers, entrepreneurs, coders, investors, venture capitalists, angel capitalists, people who are maybe even insiders, whistleblowers, who know how to do stuff without compromising their own security, well-being, whatever, this is the time to cooperate, to communicate with one another, to really jointly come together and work on our really individual and collective civilizationary, prosperity, future, scientific, technological, existential, monetary, economical, spiritual, development, evolution. And we need to, pick the people where they are exactly. We need to pick them up right on the spot, right? On that, with all their fears, with all their concerns, with all the ignorance, with all their, this is about empathy. This is about compassion. This is way beyond compassion. This is really about, because if we share our knowledge to our, to our fellow human beings, to our fellow human citizens, to our brothers and sisters, whatever you have, with it, starting with our own beloved ones, family, friends, partners, neighbors, colleagues, team members, society in general, civilization. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about going from a control obsessive, centralized, criminal, exploitative, enslaving, theft system into a more, really logical, ethical, equality process of civilization, as the Austrian economist Hoppe said, but it needs a structure. It needs the correct logical, ethical structure, foundation, architecture. It needs a healthy soil. So again, coming back to, let's just be practical about it. Let's be really pragmatic about it. What do people really need? They need something easy. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody, I guess, let's say, not everybody. That's the problem. Billions of people have no access. They can't even identify themselves. They don't have identification to open up a bank account. So it's not about banking the unbanked. No, it's about unbanked the banked people, right? Eventually. So what we have is really a privilege in the so-called Western, developed, modern, whatever. Actually, it's a lot of poverty. Even in Austria, we have 500,000 people on the verge of poverty. So what do we want? We need to structure, to restructure. We need to transform the roots of this system. All right. So if we can, please, if you know anybody, get us together. If you know anybody who I can do an interview with, ask the right questions. Ask, what is it about? What are the obstacles? What are the hindrances? What are the troubles we have to go through? What kind of people expertise? What kind of brains? What kind of developmental processes do we need to do something like that? Be it a hardware wallet. Just plug it into your either laptop, computer, or smartphone with your fingerprint, iris scan, voice recognition, maybe even biohormonal recognition, like an odor or something, like a specific smell of your body, right? Your neurotransmitters detection, something like that. I'm sure there exists something like I'm sure already been existing for years or not even decades in the military, industrial, corporate complex. But people need to come out. We need to make this stupid theft system of patent system totally obsolete, because we don't want to know. Actually, we know how many thousands of technological developments and patents and technological innovations have been confiscated in the name of national security. So we want to get rid of that. It's time really to get over that. All right, we need to get over that centralized pyramid-like exploitative confiscating system that just exploits and steals from other people, or even gets rid of other, or makes them silent. All these scientists, inventors, engineers, or maybe even has been murdering them, or just getting rid of them, or just making them just silent. And so this is the first thing they do, right? They buy them off, or they just you sign hundreds of pages of non-disclosure agreements. So if we truly want an evolutionary civilization, if we truly want have more prosperity, more freedom, more proper, have real property rights, have more more wealth accumulation, more entrepreneurial activities and initiatives, more economical prosperity, then we need to really change and transform the very foundations, which are the very so rotten, sick architecture and soil this system has been built on, this matrix. So sorry about my rant, but you know where I'm getting at. So let's really be pragmatic and practical about this. There are many people out there I know personally who would want to do this or not only themselves, but also educate their own family members, their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts, their cousins, whatever, their neighbors. But it already starts with the educational part. So we are doing this part. I'm doing this with my interviews, my live interviews, with my online interviews, with all these experts, with the Austrian economists, technologists, programmers, upcoming, and all these interviews I did on my podcast channel. Please check it out. Write an iTunes review if you like them. Help me, support me in any shape or form, so I can be of more help, be of more support, be of more exponential, outreach to more and more people, especially for the English and German speaking folks. This is the languages I speak, English and German. And these are the interviews I do in English and German. So we should have a laser focused vision, intention, and wish. And the stronger and more concentrated and more focused our collective intention, wish, and vision is, the more more exponential this process will be triggered. All right. And yes, we experience it right in front of our eyes, right? I mean, it's really amazing. It's really fascinating, the rate of speed, the pace of technological development that's going on. Whether it's be the Wasabi wallet, Summer wallet, the hardware wallet, Blockstream, the more and more independence of electricity and internet, talking about GoTenna, Blockstream, Adam Back. So these are really super brilliant minds working in the background with all the ethos, with all the with all their expertise, with all their commitment and dedication. There's so many people out there who are working on the Bitcoin protocol, on the Bitcoin software applications, hardware wallet, security, privacy, fungibility. Especially, when it comes to privacy, we're going there, we're getting there, but we can accelerate this process. We can help more and more people who are already open-minded, interested, ready to go, getting them on board, more and more newbies, and getting them, getting them, their skin in the game. So once they have skin in the game, then they start hodling, they start accumulating, and this is where we're going, all right? Then from 30, 50 million users, we're going more faster and faster than into the critical mass adoption of 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, and then 500 million, and then that's it, ladies and gentlemen. My friends, this is the critical mass adoption which we need, and then it will just trigger a total mass adoption on the whole world. Maybe, in the parallel system, we're going to still have for a long time to go, whatever, fiat, shitcoin, stablecoin, all this bullshit, but we're going to have like parallel monetary economical ecosystems building around and underneath and above it, with on the monetary root layering of Bitcoin. All right, that's about it. So please like, share, subscribe, write your comments. Please go on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Go on my Telegram channel / the Total Connector. Join me in this wonderful, beautiful journey into really evolutionary process of freedom. That's the essence of Bitcoin. It's about freedom. It's about more and more prosperity, equality, wealth generation, and freeing ourselves from this, centralized, obsessive, controlled, enslaving criminal structures and entities. All right. My name is Keyvan Davani. It's all about total Bitcoin and total freedom. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon again. Bye.